It's coffee time with the Summerland kids. Let me
Yeah,
bring
good
Jericho
morning.
on.
Good morning from Coffee with the Summerland kids. It's Casual Friday. Here we are. Let me back up my camera here, get my action going on here. All right. Yeah.
Yeah, it's Bath Day Friday. I took a nice shower, washed my hair,
That's
get ready
awesome.
for the weekend.
Hell yeah.
Ah, I'm gonna go off cam because I'm still smoking a cigarette.
You're good. That's all. It's up, whatever, man. Whatever's clever. Go to the bubble or whatever you want to do. Yeah.
Yeah,
So
the
here we
bubble,
are.
the bubble's cool.
Yeah, Aaron Riggs and Jericho Logan. You're A.W.O.L Aaron. And I'm Jericho 101 on Instagram. If you want to check us out, see what's going on. What's your Instagram, Aaron?
I forget. It's my last
Like
name
Riggs?
and some numbers. Rig
Yeah,
six
exactly.
eight something 6839.
Right.
I think.
Yeah, that's cool. I love Instagram. I've been with that, for maybe it might have been 2012. I'd have to look at my feed, but I got like 8,000 pictures up there. And I just really enjoyed the photography aspect of it and super embraced that as an art form, even though I was just using it. At first, I think I had an iPhone 4S and I was in Los Angeles and I just found myself shooting more and more. And I was just using the Instagram app and all their little filters and stuff and playing with it. And I just found myself loving photography. And then, of course, you can have a few words with your pictures. So that upped the game for like almost like a little like interwoven poetry with a photograph, um, expressing ourselves.
Oh, Instagram's a trip, dude. Because I got into it for a while when I was in the Hollywood scene, and what I'd do is I'd take a selfie like this, and so whoever was there, I'd be like selfie, pink, like the
Nice.
half. I guess being in Hollywood, I always do this, Jericho.
Oh, classic.
I gotta
That's funny.
hide the, but I get confused. I'm either the Illuminati or I'm the Dolinati because I don't know which
Yeah,
side to cover the
that's
eye.
awesome.
I'm either the
So,
light Nami or the darkness.
hell
Oh,
yeah. Did
you
you
got big plans for the weekend?
just probably a little gardening stuff. I've been working my way in the garden, like doing the I have to my garden. I have to make it squirrel proof. So I have cages around the pots so that the squirrels can't like get in because if they're just they're free range all around the property. The squirrels and the chipmunks. So early season, I make it so the plants have a little cage around them, and that way the squirrels can't get on them.
You got
Uh,
to. I know that some gardens I've done, we've had to dig because we got the ground squirrels, not just the tree squirrels.
yeah, that's
So
what we
we have
got
to
too.
dig
Yeah,
a cage under the ground too,
yeah,
because they'll
yeah. I
come right up.
got raised pots, and I just have to like I got them wrapped with the cage, and then I just right over the top of the soil, just so they can't get in the soil, and because they're little playful creatures that just whether they're burying nuts or just playing around, they're just diggers.
Yeah, it's squirrels are a trip.
The tightrope walkers.
Yeah, tightrope walkers. Yeah.
I put the pot. So this morning before I went live, I was trying to fill up my coffee cup. I went to the coffee machine, and the coffee pot was gone. I'm like, where is it at? It was right next to where I put the coffee cups inside the cupboard. I was like so
Classic.
groggy from the morning and not having my coffee yet. I poured my coffee and I put the pot up where I got my coffee cup down from. Woo!
That's funny.
There we go. So there was Aaron, there was a coffee shop in Summerland for a bit called the French Bulldog. Do you remember when the post office used to be in the small building, like closer to your house? Do you remember that? Like
No.
it was right across from Lupe's house on the corner. There's this little building, and that used to be the antique. It used to be it was probably like, dude, we were so small. I mean, this was like 1975 or 4 or something. Do you remember that?
Is that all the way up? It used to be like kind of a garden.
Yeah, you're
They had
right.
a bunch of,
Exactly right. Right next to it was a garden, like a nursery, outdoor nursery market kind of a place.
yeah, had all the cool ceramic pots and
Yep.
statues and yard art. Okay,
Yeah, exactly.
I vaguely remember that because I remember it was a big deal, and they painted the mural at the post office where it's at now.
Yeah, where it's at now. Exactly. That was the upgrade. And then for a second there, this is probably like around because I in 2000, let's see, 2002, 2000, because yeah, 2002, I actually moved up to Colorado for a second, and then I came back in 2003, and that's when they had the French Bulldog. And the cool thing about the French Bulldog is, I don't know if I'll pull the guy's name out of my brain, but the guy who was running it became the guy who runs the Santa Barbara Film Festival. Roger Durling is his name, I believe. So Roger started the Santa Barbara International Film Festival, and that since became super awesome. The Santa Barbara Film Festival has kind of grown up to be really a cool yearly event.
Are those like just Santa Barbara artists, or is that just a film festival
No,
in Santa Barbara?
yeah, it's an international film festival, so it does carry like Hollywood weight. Like I think perhaps I know they have. I want to say they have recognized Leonardo DiCaprio and a few other major stars. They Santa Barbara is a great excuse to get away for anybody. So when they do the festival, they do pull Hollywood mainstream films and then also alternative films and whatnot to showcase their films. And it's just the Arlington Theater and all of the beautiful theaters in Santa Barbara. It's a lovely getaway. I mean, we were fortunate and blessed to be born and raised in Santa Barbara, but for those who are just visitors, they really get a kick out of coming to Santa Barbara for the festival once a year. So,
Yeah, the Arlington. I remember that
totally.
before they
You
had
remember
the
going to
Cineplex.
see Star Wars?
I remember going to see Star Wars, waiting in line, and it was the first
Yep,
weekend. It was packed, and we waited in line for like an hour, and
absolutely.
it was just overwhelmingly cool.
It was overwhelmingly cool. Yeah, for those who don't know the Arlington Theater, I would say it's a large theater for in today's theater norm. It's above and beyond the norm as far as in terms of size. And there's also a balcony section, and it's a gorgeous historic building with a little steeple. It's beautiful. The Arlington Theater, Santa Barbara. It's a historic location, and most recently, that actually, I think that property is sort of like, the funding and the upkeep and the ownership and like a changing of the guard. I guess in Los Angeles, a couple theaters have been bought by prominent film directors like what's his name? Quentin Tarantino, I think, owns his own theater now in LA, and he's redone it and beautified it and made it, just really embraced the theater and made it beautiful. So that's really cool.
No, I really like the old theaters with the old marquees on them. I think a lot of towns still have the old theater. A lot of towns have a new
Yeah.
theater,
Yeah.
a multiplex, but then a lot of them have the old theaters. I remember they used to have a midnight movie playing on the weekends.
Right.
Down there in the Central
like
Coast.
Rocky Horror Picture Show.
Yeah, the Rocky Horror Picture Show, Led Zeppelin, heavy metal, all the kind of oddball cult classic movies that we'd all stay up until 11 and 12 o'clock, run downtown and go to the theater. See Pink Floyd, The Wall at the midnight
awesome.
movies.
That's cool. So when you were in high school, did you do that a little bit in high school?
Go to the midnight movies?
Yeah.
Yeah, that was like the big thing. I used to
Okay,
sneak out
wow,
of the
that's
house.
cool.
I used to, because the mom, I was still in whatever ninth grade, and it's kind of a curfew thing. Be home at 11 on the
Right.
weekend nights, and so I'd come home at 10:30, act like I'm in bed,
Yeah.
make sure mom's asleep, and get up around 11:30 and book it downtown to the midnight theater,
That's
and
freaking
go
awesome.
meet up all the friends and do the midnight movie. And
That's rad. Yeah, the times have changed. It's like that kind of nostalgic theater experience, because of course we didn't have cell phones, and maybe the TV was in the living room, so you couldn't pull off a secret TV watching session. You literally had to jump out your back window or something and freaking go into town to catch a film with your friends or something.
yeah, it was
That's awesome.
bad. We were kind of bad boys back then. We would once in a while, I'd tell my mom, I'm staying at a friend's house, and they'd tell their mom they're staying at my house, and then we'd go and wait till the 9 o'clock movie got out around 10:30 or 11, sneak in the back door of the theater, and hang out behind the screen
Oh, no
until
way.
midnight, until people
Wow.
started coming in, and we'd come out
And
and go sit down.
read. Wow. And you had long hair back then too, huh? You were saying.
Yeah,
High
I
school?
mean, I think I started growing that out in junior high, and
Okay.
I would cut it from time to time.
Yeah.
She says hi.
Good morning. Good morning. Yeah, that's freaking awesome, man. That's classic. Because thinking back, we were talking about the hair days. Like in the '80s, that was such it was almost like hair became a really big deal with girls with the hairspray and the whole thing. Like, we were being fed MTV and VH. Well, not really. MV. I remembered MV3, like Richard Blade and these early music video shows. So all of a sudden, our favorite stars like Motley Crue and would just appear on the screen and be like, "Oh shit!" Like, where do I get those pants or something? For some kids that were just going full on, Mm. Yeah.
No, I remember
How's the
because
audio?
my mom had a friend who was a hairstylist, and she'd say, "Oh, get your hair." And so she'd do the hair; it'd be all feathered back. I didn't do the big hair;
Wow.
I did the classic
Right.
feather. And so it,
Yeah.
the top was short, and it just kind of feathered out and did the whole feather back
Oh,
brush.
right.
I was so
Like you
fashionable.
were in Def Leppard. It's like that's
I was doing
amazing, man.
something, man. I was doing
Yeah, that's
something.
classic. Did your facial hair start to come in high school as well, or no?
I had a full goatee by the time I was
Oh
like
wow.
14.
No way. Holy Moses.
Yeah,
Wow.
it was all this where it's gray
Uh-huh.
was full. So like
Okay.
I could shave the sides a little bit. You can see it doesn't quite grow in as long and
Yeah.
thick.
Yeah.
But I just shave the sides a little bit, shave under the neck,
That's
and
amazing.
had one of these kind of going. Not quite as thick,
Right.
but
No, that's a move, because in high school, and I remember in junior high, there was one dude with a mustache, and that was like a big deal. I didn't really ever, I had some facial hair, but not to the degree where I can't even remember. I vaguely remember high school, like maybe shaving, but it was really just like teeth buds or something, So
yeah, it's a trip. Some people just grow beards and grow facial hair, and some people don't.
yeah, right.
And I had a friend that kind of their hair grew in like yours. It had that automatic, cool kind of. It looks like you manicure it, but it's just natural.
Right. Wow. Yeah.
I don't know
And
if you trim around the Fu
not yet.
Manchu part.
I'm I'm gonna start, doing a little manicuring, but not much. I just want to get the last time I grew it out, I did the wax and I did the curls. So I want to get the wax and the curls going, Yeah.
Yeah, it's weird. Like these hairs, they don't grow as thick and long. I don't think I'll
Right.
ever be able to do that. You can
Right.
see, you can barely see it. But this grows out
That's
like
tricky.
this is one of my
Amazing.
tricks. I do
Right.
I separate it and make it into little sections.
Classic. Yeah. So,
Ooh.
dude, man, it's been forever. Aaron and I were sixth grade friends. There was only two boys in our sixth grade class, and there was two girls, and I remember that distinctly. Like it was always just sort of a token funny thing. There's only 4 sixth graders here, um, coming from a super small little school, and
Did we lose you, Jericho? Oh, you froze there for a
sixth
second.
grade
Sorry.
came, and I was like, okay. Yeah, I've been noticing that a little bit this morning. So, anyways, it was just like maybe that's when our time started to get rushed in sixth grade. Like getting through that was like a big deal.
I always remember once we got into the upper class room, third, fourth, and fifth,
Yeah.
it got a little more serious. Like the material was a little more tricky. We had to memorize a little more.
Yeah.
If you were behind on first, second, and third, that you had to make up. But yeah, I always remember because the teacher would pull each grade up and is like, there's only 4 kids at the desk with the teacher. It was kind of nice because we got that, more one-on-one time, I guess.
Yeah.
With a smaller class.
For sure.
I think it was beneficial.
No, definitely. And maybe that led us to a better path, getting into junior high. And then that's when you guys took off. And it's like this summer, it just became a whole different world. Every summer was like, we were free range, when we were in school, but then once summer was in full effect, it was almost like you're just given full. The freedom was amazing.
Yeah, it was a trip because it didn't matter where we were at, whosever house we were at, the parents always, at lunchtime tried to feed us something.
Yeah, and I did remember Dan Taglis. I think it was his uncle. Remember, he was an arm wrestler. Remember that guy? And he had a little
Big Davy Taglis. Yeah.
He had a table set up for arm wrestling, and I think there was actually a film. Like it may have been what's his name from Rocky, Sylvester Stallone. Might have been called Over the Top. I can't remember, but there was an arm wrestling film, and I think he may have been in it or something because he was like world class level of arm wrestling.
Yeah, I remember he would go like on cruise ships for tournaments and stuff, and those spring things that you pull apart. Yeah, I remember he had like 3 of them tied to the tree, and he'd just sit there, boom, 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 and all his kids would try to get it, and he couldn't barely budge it, and he'd just go boom, 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 left-handed, right-handed, boom, boom, boom.
Yeah,
Woo.
It was cool to have like a guy like that, and he was so like front center. Like their yard was on the, it wasn't a main street, but it was definitely a prominent house on the street, and he had the tree and the arm wrestling set up, and it was like that. He was like definitely like a like maybe a little bit of a mentor for the younger kids to look up to as like a hero of sorts in our neighborhood.
Oh yeah, he would definitely teach us some arm wrestling techniques.
Yeah, for sure.
As far as like how to get the wrist in and how to lock it in the shoulder and uses the shoulder to push it down. And
it was freaking awesome. I mean, other than characters like that, I mean, I did have a neighbor, when Kathleen Caruso is her name now, but Kathleen Morris and Michael Morris, there were 2 young kids that moved in next to me. And then Michael was a few years older, and Michael had a guitar and a rad album collection. And so I got introduced to a lot of cool music like Boston and Ted Nugent maybe Van Halen, but it was like he was like that teenage kid who could get, he could afford to buy records. His parents had a pool and hot tub company or something like that, and so he was like had every rad rock and roll record that came out at the time.
Yeah, that's gosh, just the whole music thing, vinyl. We got to see it all, huh, Jericho? We started out with records, then we got the 8-tracks, then we got the cassettes, then we got the CDs, then we got the iTunes,
iPods, and all that stuff.
Yeah,
it's amazing to have lived through it all, because now it's like kids just are handed a cell phone. It's like you get unlimited play and it's all in your hand. But then it was like, I remember distinctly riding in one of my mom's friends' Volkswagen Bugs, and she had a 8-track cassette with the Cars in there and like Candy-O and all that. It was amazing. It was like, and then you could touch the button and skip songs. It was like so freaking rad.
Yeah.
What is now looked upon as antique. Gosh, what's an antique now was like cutting edge technology back then.
Yeah, when's the last time you seen an 8-track player and an 8-track cassette?
Well, working at the thrift store, I saw it all, man. It all came through, and I collected a little bit of it. I kind of backed off on the 8-track, because I started to obsess on VHS and what cool movies I could pull on the VHS side, and then also DVDs, of course. And I became, in Los Angeles, I was like just on the iPhone, and that was it. I didn't even have a television, or, because it's like nowadays, I mean, what is it? Of course, VHS is like, now it's collectible and a weird little subculture on Instagram. And also DVDs. That's like people don't even have that anymore. It's just all about internet streaming, apps, Paramount Plus, blah, 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 to get your film on.
Well, there's still places like a friend of mine. We used to do a lot of picking and barn cleanouts and stuff, and he had a buyer up in Alaska that would buy any VHS or CDs because they don't got the internet, they don't got a lot of cable out there. Places in Montana, it's like if you got a big library of CDs or VHS tapes, you're set for the winter.
For sure.
You got something to do.
That was my thought process in collecting for the cabin up here in Colorado. I just wanted to back it up to where if someone stumbled upon the cabin and somehow I was gone or whatever, they'd find this amazing, book collection, VHS and DVD collection. So.
No, that's awesome. I've got a few books, but I've moved a few times and had to basically trim the fat.
Oh yeah.
And now that I got a home that I own, I notice I'm getting more and more stuff, more tools in the garage.
Yeah, that's cool.
More knickknacks in the house, books. Yeah. I love gardening, so I got a bunch of new potted plants and plants going in everywhere.
That's awesome. That's killer. Huh. So, do you use the chicken?
And I could just think,
do you use the chicken manure for your for your garden a little bit, or does that help?
Oh, absolutely. I clean it out. I put it in the compost pile. Okay. We dig it in and dress the garden.
Cool. That's cool.
Oh, stale stomping.
And then she's out there stumps. She goes out there and hunts. She's a mighty snail hunter.
Oh, cool.
She's got the systems, and she uses beard traps and the stuff you get at the store. And then her favorite thing is to go out there and just smash, smash.
When we were kids,
I got a little prop, from Donnie's house, like crush.
I got to start collecting them and feeding them to the chickens.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
They love them. I'll open all the, knock over any buckets or move anything that I got in the yard and let the chickens out of their cage, and they come into the yard, and you could just tell they're happy. They're running around getting bugs and slugs and snails.
Wow.
And
I forgot.
Yeah, we pretty much, I mean, Summerland, we grew up around a bunch of orchards. That was something amazing, having avocado orchards and the orange orchards and lemons, limes. My grandfather actually had a bunch of macadamia nut trees that he planted up on Ortega Ridge, and they got huge, dude, like big macadamia nut trees. There was probably like 6 of them. And we would, after my grandfather sold the property, we'd still go up there and collect the nuts sometimes when we were teenagers.
Wow.
Yeah, so you guys might want to plant. It might take 5 years to start making nuts, but the macadamia nuts are like, that's a luxury nut, you know, for real.
did you ever go explore the orchards up there and get lost?
Yeah, we never got lost, but I definitely we were all over it, man. Yeah. Back in Montecito and all that stuff.
No, one time we went up there. I think I was with Dan, and we went up there and we got lost.
No shit. Wow.
And it was hot.
Wow.
And it was sunny. And we had to find the irrigation tubes and suck the water out.
Way. Classic.
And then finally the sun was setting. So I'm like, okay, let's follow the setting sun. That should take us towards the town.
Oh, wow.
Oh, how smart.
Okay.
We got home.
And
We got home.
you found a fence. You found a fence line or some shit to get yourself out.
No, we had left first thing in the morning.
Okay.
And we got turned around somehow, and we were way up, and there was trees all around us.
Wow.
We didn't know which way to go. And we found the little water spigot where the irrigation had just a little bit of water. And then by then the sun was going down, and they're like, oh, and I'm like, let's just go this way because the sun sets on the west towards the ocean. We'll get to town.
Classic.
And we followed that, and then we ended up. I think it was the Ortega Hill, the one that goes all the way up behind, towards the hot springs up there in Summerland.
Remember,
I guess
Greenwell, the road Greenwell, that one, it went around and connected to Ortega Ridge. So it's toward the very end of town by the Edison Company. It was that little road that went up right there. That was Greenwell.
Yeah, I think that's where we ended up coming out.
Wow, classic. I got lost with some kids one time snowboarding.
So
I was when I was 21. Up in Colorado, I was 21 years old, and I was definitely following some teenagers. They were like high school kids, and they cut a rope in the ski resort, and we went down this hill, and I just kept following and following. We ended up like we had to take our snowboards off and start walking, and then the kids like confessed like, hey, I think we're kind of lost. And we didn't, you don't really realize you could just follow your track back out. But it was like we were so far in that we weren't going to follow our tracks back out. So I saw a fence line like way off in the distance, and we made it to the fence line. And then from the fence line, you could see these little lights down. And we ended up in town on the golf course down below the resort. So, and thankfully, one of the kids' moms had a condo there. So we got to the mom's condo just in time for them to call off the search party. Because they're like, the moms are like, where's Junior? It's 3:30. The resort's closed or whatever. And by that time it was almost dark, or it was dark. So, dude, we were going through, chest deep snow, hiking out, man. Classic.
No, I used to go snowboarding a bit, and I had some friends, and they were the crazy bunch, and they'd go off trail.
Oh, wow.
And there's a couple times I see them go down, and I don't see them no more, and I go down, and where are they at? And so I go to the lodge and have a hot cocoa, and a couple hours later they come out sweating and grumping. Oh, we had to hike all the way up out of the gully.
Oh yeah, it's serious, man. I mean, nowadays I just stay inbound, on the in the resort, and don't go out of bounds. They say, because when you go out of bounds, you're in a sort of you never know what's going to happen when you're out of bounds.
Well, that's where all the good powder's at.
Yeah,
What are you talking
exactly.
about? Stay on the trail.
Exactly. That's the pirate realm. Well, fuck, we hit it, man. We rocked it on 30 minutes.
Oh, Jericho.
Another great day.
We rocked the 30 minutes, bro.
Yeah.
No viewers today, but we'll get the replays.
Yeah, no, that's cool. We get the replay. Well, cheers, man, to Coffee with the Summerland kids. I'm Aaron, or I'm Jericho. That's Aaron. And we're rocking.
I'm Jericho. I'm Jericho. That's Aaron. We don't know where we put our coffee, but
and I'm dyslexic since first grade. I still am.
And you can tell. See, if I'm drinking it right-handed,
right?
I just got the TT. That's what we're gonna say. Ta-ta.
Ta-ta.
Ta-ta for now.
Yeah, ta-ta for now. Cheers, everybody. We love you. Have a great day.